He continually invites us and asks us to trust him, to trust him. And in the moment, that's not always the easiest thing, is it? Life and our challenges and our difficulties, they have this logic of their own. And in the moment, it looks like that is the only thing that there is. Difficulties seem immovable, and circumstances seem like they will never change. And yet God continues to invite us to remember and remember and remember the mountains that he has moved, the acts that he has performed on our behalf throughout our history. Don't forget. Don't forget. If I did it then, I can do it again. Walk by faith, not by sight. I am with you. Luke chapter 24 tells a story of the road to Emmaus, and we read some of that this morning. After Jesus' death, two disciples were walking, and the resurrected Jesus came up and walked with them. And this is how Luke writes it in verse 27. And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself. I don't know how you think about the Old Testament. How do you think about the Old Testament? It has some weird stories, right? There are some challenging things in the Old Testament. There's violence that can be hard to understand. And some people use the Old Testament as an argument against God. It's a favorite thing for some people to point out how weird Christians are and the weird things that we believe. It can be used as a weapon against God. But listen, this passage, this scripture should stay with you for the rest of your life. This text in Luke should stay with you for the rest of your life. When Jesus looked at the Old Testament scriptures, he saw God's work of redemption through all human history that was accomplished by himself. This is what Jesus saw when he read the Old Testament scriptures. He saw God's work of redemption through him. And we should see that too. Looking for Jesus has been a major theme that's run throughout the story of Jesus' life. From the beginning to the end, people were looking for Jesus. Just a couple of those instances. At his birth, the shepherds looked for Jesus. In fact, the angels told them, go look for Jesus. Right when he was born, the looking started. The Magi and King Herod both looked for Jesus for very different reasons, right? Throughout his life, people looked for Jesus to heal them. They sought him out. They looked for him in order to be healed. The Jewish leaders looked for Jesus for a very different reason, so they could kill him. Right. Throughout Jesus' life from beginning to end, people were looking for Jesus. Even Jesus' parents lost Jesus on a trip when he was 12 years old. They lost him, they took off, and they started for home. Now, in those days, it wasn't quite as weird because it was very much a community, a family. It would have been very normal for them to think, Jesus is with one of the cousins. Jesus is with an aunt and uncle. I'm sure somebody's got Jesus. It would have been normal. But after a while, they realized nobody's got Jesus. Where is he? He's only 12 years old. They had to take the trip all the way back to Jerusalem. And for 3 days, they looked for him. And where did they find him? They found him in the temple with all the grown-ups having debates about Scripture and about God. This morning, the obvious but surprisingly difficult question is, what are you looking for in your life? What are you looking for in your life? And it seems obvious, but it can be a little bit difficult to sort of get to the bottom of what we're actually looking for. As the old saying goes, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Right? If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. It's so obvious, but in real life, we get wrapped up in the demands of the day, the demands of the week, in our anxieties, in the things that need to get done. We don't take time to actually stop and think, what is my life aimed at? Am I intentional about where my life is being aimed? If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. All of us are looking for something. Oftentimes, if we don't take a minute of self-reflection, we can just be totally unaware that our lives are secretly being driven forward by forces, by desires, by wants, by needs that we haven't identified, that we're not aware of, and yet they are driving our decisions. They're driving the way we think about our lives. We're just not aware of it because we haven't taken time. Some of us are looking for success, and that's what's driving us forward. Some of us are looking for validation that we never got from our parents. And everywhere we go, every person we meet, we're looking for that validation that we never got. Some of us are looking for relief from pain, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain. Our decisions are being driven forward by looking for some kind of relief from that pain, from something. Some of us are looking for companionship from our loneliness. Some of us are looking for something to make us feel alive. Some of us are looking for significance in a world where everyone else is prettier, richer, and better, and we're just looking for how can I be significant in this world? And our lives, without us realizing it, are being driven forward. The decisions that we make, where we go, who we see, who we talk to, how we relate to other people, are being thrust forward by these unseen forces that we haven't taken time to identify. Just days before Jesus met the disciples on the road to Emmaus, after he rose from the dead, angels met the women at Jesus' tomb, and they asked this question that is so important for us today. Luke chapter 24, verse 5. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground. Yeah, that's how I would respond too. If you saw an angel glowing right before you, right? That was an appropriate response. They bowed down in fright. But the men said to them, here it is, why do you look for the living among the dead? Why do you look for the living among the dead? He's not here, he is risen. All of us are looking for something, but the two biggest ways not to find what we're looking for is this. Number one, to not be looking at all. If you look for nothing, you'll find it every time. And the second, to look in the wrong place. If you look in the wrong place, you're not going to find it, right? When you're looking for something, when you have lost your keys, when you lost your phone, the first thing that people ask you is, where was the last place that you had it? Are you even looking in the right place? Well, let's see. The last place I had it, right? I'm looking in the house, but it's in the car. I'm not even looking in the right, so that's a great place not to look for it. This year, Jesus is inviting us to abide with him every day, to look for Jesus every day. To spend time in his presence every day, Jesus told his disciples, continually seek and you will find. This is what that word seek means. I've said this before. It's a word that is ongoing. In the Greek, it means this ongoing form of the verb. It doesn't say seek once, seek and you will find. It says continue, do not stop, ongoing, without end. Live a life, a practice, a habit throughout your entire life of never stopping the search. And now for some of us, maybe like all I want to do is stop looking. When I'm looking for my keys, I'm grumpy. I don't want to spend my time seeking for my keys. I've got other things that are more important to do, right? And so we have to contend with this call of Jesus to make the seeking the ongoing life pattern. Not to become impatient with Jesus. Jesus, I've got other things to do. Hurry up, let's go. And sometimes that's how we come to Jesus. All right, Jesus, I got 5 minutes. Come on, I've got 5 minutes, let's go. Right? And Jesus invites us, come, sit down for a minute. Let's talk. I've got all that stuff taken care of. I know before you even knew. I know what you need. I know what's coming up. I know. I want you to come and sit with me. Take a minute. And so we're invited to a lifestyle, a pattern of seeking, of looking for Jesus. If we look for nothing, we'll find it every time, but if we are intentional about looking for Jesus, we will find him every time. He is not hard to find. He does not want to remain hidden, but he wants to know that our heart is not a heart where we just assume Jesus is going to lay it all out in front of us. We can get to this point where with Jesus, well, he's going to do it, right? He wants to know that we want him, we desire him, that we're willing to seek him, right? In your life, what are you looking for? What are you seeking? The psalmist stated this basic reality of the human heart. Psalm 63, verse 1 says this, "You, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water." And when Paul got to the great metropolis of Athens, Paul visited Athens, and what did he find? The very heart of philosophy and the pursuit of wisdom in the ancient world was Athens. It's where all the great philosophers came from. It's where they went to find their disciples, to do their teaching. And Paul found masses of people seeking for wisdom and purpose in dead, lifeless things. Let me read this for you. Look at the description in Luke that Luke gives of ancient Athens. Acts chapter 17, verse 21 gives this description. All the Athenians and the foreigners who lived there spent their time doing nothing but talking about and listening to the latest ideas. Their whole life was consumed talking about and listening to the latest ideas. And isn't this true of our lives today? I feel it just as you do. We're overwhelmed and we're drowning in the endless scrolling supply of ideas. It never ends. There's no bottom to the pursuit of ideas. And here's the truth that we have to face. The content we consume is discipling us and forming us whether we want it to or not. It's just entertainment. No, it's not. It's forming us. And some of that's okay, but the volume that we consume forms us in ways that we are not aware. Look what Paul said to the crowds of seekers in Athens that he encountered. Acts chapter 17, verse 24. The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth and does not live in temples built by human hands. And he is not served by human hands as if he needs anything at all. Rather, he himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else. Verse 26, from one man he made all the nations that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he's not far off for any one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring. When Jesus met the disciples on the road to Emmaus, He didn't talk about the weather. He didn't talk about politics. He didn't talk to them about sports. He told them about the core of what their hearts were truly looking for, how God had become king and restored all humanity to a relationship with God through Jesus. And Paul is basically asking the people in Athens the same question as the angels asked the women on Easter morning. Why do you look for a living God among these dead Greek gods? You seek the light of wisdom, you seek knowledge in all its forms, and yet you are ignoring the light of the world, the creator of all knowledge, the one in whom you can finally find wisdom. All of these things are dead, and yet you seek the living among the dead, right? So the challenge for us this morning is this very same challenge. Are there ways in our lives, are there patterns that we've dropped into without realizing it? Are there ways that we are looking for life? We're looking for relief. We're looking for whatever it is our heart is desiring, but we're looking for those things among the dead. It's like drinking salt water. It only makes you more thirsty. But Jesus said, come to me and I will give you living water and you will never thirst again. I am the source, the only source of that water that can truly quench, that can truly bring life. God gives everyone life and breath and everything else. He is the source. For in him we live and we move and we have our being. There are many times in the week, even in a single day, that I live like the disciples on the road to Emmaus. And perhaps you identify with me in this. I'm distracted by all the latest ideas, and I fail to recognize that Jesus is walking right beside me, inviting me to walk with him in faith. How often do you feel anxiety in a given day? If you were to put a tick mark and you would count every moment of anxiety and stress in a given day, how many times do you think that would be for you? A lot, right? But listen, here's the point. Fear, anger, loneliness, frustration, stress, every moment of anxiety is an invitation to recognize that Jesus is walking beside us, inviting us to walk in faith. This week, I want to invite you to abide with Jesus. Abide with Jesus is a nice thought, but living it out doesn't always feel nice, does it? I think we have to start out recognizing that it doesn't always feel good. Because it feels like stress. It feels like anxiety. It feels like fear about something we care about that may not turn out well. That's what it feels like. But if we can learn to recognize that this feeling is an invitation to bring this thing to Jesus, who is walking beside us, and recognize that we are not alone in this, but that he wants to carry this with us, it will change our lives. Take my yoke upon you. That's what that means. Let me carry this anxiety with you. Don't try to carry it alone. And when you do, you will find that my burden is light and I will give you rest, even in the middle of very difficult situations. So this morning, we are being invited to recognize Jesus walking with us in every moment.